We don't.
Tune it up. Tune it up. Let's see.
Good afternoon. I'd like to call the meeting to order with the open meeting compliance statement.
This regular meeting of the Tulsa Community College Board of Regents has been convened in accordance with the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act.
Thank you. Roll call, Cindy.
Wesley Mitchell,
Here.
Karen Lawhorn,
Here.
William McCamey, James Beavers,
Here.
Paul Cornell,
Present.
Samuel Combs,
Here.
and Ronald Looney.
Here.
Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
Thank you very much. Old business and possible discussion and action. Recommendation for approval of the minutes of the special meeting of the Tulsa Community College Board of Regents held on Thursday, April 15th, 2021. I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, same sign? Motion carried. Thank you. Carryover items, nominating committee, election of officers, and possible discussion and action. The nominating committee met after some deep thought and conversations. We recommended the chair be vice chair. We recommended the vice chair, and secretary for fiscal 2020. The chair is recommended to be Karen Lawhorn. The vice chair, Regent Beavers.
No.
No, they didn't write it in my book.
Secretary.
Beavers is secretary.
Oh, Beavers secretary, I'm sorry.
McCamey.
And McCamey vice chair, I'm sorry. I would entertain a motion for approval of the nominating committee. That comes on approval from the nominating committee. No motion needed. No second needed. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. All opposed?
I am glad you didn't mention me in that.
I just, I was looking at it, they depended on my memory. Men of my age don't have very good memory. Motion carried. Thank you. Academic Affairs and Student Success Committee report and possible discussion. Regent Combs, now I mention your name.
Thank you, sir. The Academic Affairs and Student Success Committee met last week, and we had a very, I think, high quality and productive meeting. First of all, we talked about promotions in rank, and those are part of the consent agenda for the day, so I won't go into detail, and Dr. Sividon covered those with us, and let me just personally congratulate those who are receiving promotions, and there's some detail in the packet regarding those. There are quite a number of them. Also, we received a commencement update, and as I understand it, I wasn't able to make this year's drive-by commencement, but I understand that it went again extremely well, and hopefully next year, next time when we have this, Dr. Goodson, we will be in position to have our regular indoor and commencement and shake 2,000 hands. So looking forward to
Yes.
that. Regent Beavers. Next, we discussed retention and enrollment strategies. This was a very interesting meeting. We talked about, in particular, our EDGE cohort and program, which we've concluded is one of the more exciting things we're doing on the campus at this time, in that we're taking 8th grade students and touching them as part of this cohort and bringing them through and as far as college preparedness and on into the college. So it fits well with our Pathways program and some of the other efforts we're doing to retain and upgrade our completion numbers. So we're excited about that. And I guess from my perspective, it's, again, one of the better things we're doing when we're reaching these young people early. And that EDGE, as I learned, stands for Earn a Degree, Graduate Early Program. So we'll try to remember. EDGE is a little easier to remember. And finally, we just received a general update on the campus activities and had a robust discussion about future topics for next year. And then I just want to end and conclude by saying that just thank the committee for their work during the previous year and school year, and also in tolerating and teaching me along the way. I learned a tremendous amount. And those members are Regent Beavers and Regent Mitchell from time to time, as the chair would attend. Well, he made most of them, I believe. And Dr. Goodson and Dr. Sividon and Eunice Tarver and often Lindsay White. And of course, Matt Monger for his assistance, which I couldn't do without. That concludes my report, sir.
Thank you, Regent Combs. Personnel report and possible discussion action presented by Dr. Goodson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. You'll see in the consent agenda the appointment of full-time faculty and full-time professional staff. You'll notice in that consent agenda on the last page of that part of the agenda, the promotion to professor and the promotion to associate professor. We're really proud of this program, particularly the promotion to professor. This is only the second group of faculty that have been promoted to professor. That's a new promotion program that we've recently implemented. Those are on the consent agenda, and we'll be inviting those faculty that have been promoted to probably our August board meeting. Is that right? I see Dr. Sividon shaking her head yes. You'll also see retirements of full-time faculty and professional employees that have been submitted, and separations. Administration asks for a motion, a second, and a vote on the consent agenda.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Consent agenda, motion's carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Regent McCamey, Facilities and Safety Committee report and possible discussion.
Yes, sir. We've submitted a request for qualifications for the development of a new 10-year campus facilities plan. As you can tell from what has been going on in the world, things are changing, and we really do want to stay ahead of that curve, or at least stay with it, so that our facilities meet the needs of our students and meet the needs of the college. We've gotten some very positive response back and have invited a limited number of these firms to present to a selection task force on June 21st. Following those interviews, we'll discuss things like scope and timing, because as you might expect, each one of these groups has a little bit different idea of what that might look like. And we think we need to corral that, if you will, so that it will deal with the things that we feel are needed, but also some things that can help us better take care of our students. The intent, again, we expect this to be a very long-range program. Talk about parking facilities. Are we there where the students are, where it needs to be? So we hope to get some long-term help in moving us forward. Under major projects, we've reviewed a list of completed projects over the past year and received an update on classroom changes for the upcoming fall semester. As you can imagine, we'll be returning to a more traditional classroom, and so furniture will be brought back in, if you will. and configured to a normal enrollment capacity. The West Campus Diagnostic Medical Sonography Lab successfully opened for students in June 9th to be exact. The finishing touches are being added to the Cardiovascular Technology Lab, which will welcome students in the fall. And the move out of the second floor of the Owasso campus was completed at the end of May. Bids for the Metro Campus Student Success Center were received on schedule and included in this month's approval cycle. The construction is scheduled to start in September with an opening in the first half of 2022. The Northeast Campus Student Success Center, the designs are progressing well. We expect this to go out for bids for construction by the end of next month. That concludes my report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Regent McCamey.
See, whoops, wait.
Facilities
Sorry,
down.
I'm selling ourselves short. Michael has an update on our current projects. Michael, I'm sorry you didn't get out of it.
I wasn't gonna let him slide.
Thank you.
I tried to escape there. Thank you, Regent McCamey. In terms of a summary for this past year, obviously a lot of the focus went to the COVID classroom and campus configurations and mitigation. But along with that, we did complete two significant projects: the West Campus Student Success Center, which opened back in August, and then the Allied Health Labs at the West Campus that Regent McCamey just covered. So we're proud of both of those. Looking forward for next year, we've restarted both the Metro and Northeast Campus Student Success Centers. We will be restarting scheduled things like parking lot maintenance. We had put those on hold last year with reduced vehicular traffic on campus. We'll also be restarting progress on some of our deferred maintenance initiatives, specifically starting with things like air handlers, air handling units to improve ventilation on campus. Again, part of the COVID mitigation. Last year, we had installed improved filters and ultraviolet light treatment where we could. The focus going forward is to make sure that the underlying infrastructure is set up for the long term. We're also going to be able to restart several of the campus safety initiatives and accessibility projects that we've been shown as on hold on this dashboard. So I think next year is really going to bring this dashboard kind of back to life from kind of the yellow on hold status that we've seen over the past 12 months. Going forward, I think we've got a plan and an approach for most of these items going forward. I'm glad to take any questions.
No questions, but your attention was placed in the proper place over the past year. So I appreciate the job we did keeping people safe, which was priority number one.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
Thank you, sir.
That concludes our report, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Regent McCamey. Community Relations Committee report and possible discussion. Regent Cornell.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We had a good meeting last week. We had Rick Neal from the federal level, as is typical, and Alexis Hilbert with a report at the state level, followed by Carrie Schultz to talk about College Park. As we know, there, suffice it to say, many moving parts in Washington right now. And Rick Neal, who is present today, I saw him coming in, reported that the current Biden administration investment budget is $3.6 trillion, which is a combination of the American Jobs Plan at $2.6 trillion and the American Families Plan at $1 trillion. Then he went on to share the overall 2022 budget, integrating the jobs and family plans into it. He mentions that most proposals lack detail. There's a lot of debate. We've heard talk about the infrastructure bill, and there's a lot of debate of what really defines infrastructure. And having spoken with some members of Congress recently about this, it sounds like the Senate is where a lot of this is going to get brokered, if you will, with some certain senators that will be making it difficult to move everything forward, it sounds like. The Pell Grant maximum is increased by $1,875 in this proposal. the American College Promise, 2 years of community college proposed in the American Families Plan. Few details, cost associated with that is $109 billion. It was pointed out that our current president's wife has a community college background, and this is a big priority for the First Lady. Workforce training proposals, there's $9 billion for community college job training contained within it. And community college infrastructure, there's $12 billion with few details contained within that. The Department of Education has public hearings on June 21, 23, and 24, so that would be coming up next week to discuss a variety of topics, including gainful employment, second chance Pell, ability to benefit, post-secondary outcomes, retention, completion, and student loan repayment. And the outcomes of all hearings will have a big impact on TCC, we are told. So I'll pause there on federal matters if there are any comments or questions before I go to state. Okay, hearing none. At the state level, I think we're all aware that the Oklahoma legislature adjourned sine die on May the 28th. Both the House and the Senate ended the legislative session. We're told that not a lot got through that impacts us too much from Alexis's standpoint, and I've heard the same from Dr. Goodson. That there are over 600 bills that have been sent to the governor, and sometimes, by the way, it's not bad when there are things that don't impact you too much, when things are going overall relatively well here, as I see it. The governor has until June 11th, so that day is come and gone. I don't have a current report on how many of those made it across his desk. There's apparently a special session coming up. There are no redistricting specific limits for the special session, so it could be expanded to include other topics. I've heard rumor that if he were successful, this Medicaid outsourcing to managed care could find its way into that agenda, but I'm not sure that there's legislative support there to make anything happen. The highlights of the session for TCC were Senate Bill 292, which is Senator John Hast and Representative J.D. Nolan creating a concurrent enrollment task force that was signed by the governor and goes into effect the 1st of next month. And then little point of note, they've expanded the affinity tag program, and TCC will have its own affinity license plate for everyone's information. Then finally, on College Park, which I'm very excited about. I think that's going to be very meaningful for Tulsa. I went to that press conference where our team did a great job in conjunction with OSU on announcing that collaborative effort. It was reported by Carrie Schultz that the recruitment is underway for the inaugural cohort of College Park students, which, for those that don't know, it's a unique partnership to, in my words, solve for the 4-year need that's been devoid in Tulsa, where Dr. Goodson and Dr. Pam Fry have worked very well during a pandemic year at that to develop this program in a collaborative way where a student can have a 4-year on-campus experience at OSU Tulsa, referencing a marketing plan that is fairly robust. And I see that we have on our screen here behind you, Mr. Chairman, the logo that was unveiled at the press conference and that was developed to give a true brand. There's even a T-shirt to go with it to give a true brand to this new initiative. So that's everything I have on community relations, unless there are questions.
Thank you, Regent Cornell. I mean, College Park is just exciting.
Yes.
For an open university to provide the opportunity to all our citizens to get a 4-year degree. That unheard of. We'll be leaders again. Thank you, Regent Cornell. Your turn again. Finance, Risk, and Audit Committee report and possible discussion and action.
It's really exciting when you have 50 purchase items the day that we're here to honor Regent Looney, right? So we're going to try to be efficient in how we're going to do this. I would like to call on Mark McMullen, our CFO, as we move through this to the degree we find questions. In keeping with the public meeting rules, there are handouts. We have, I'm told by McKinsey, our council, that we have 120 copies of all of our purchases that are going to be approved today for anyone who wants to see them. And what I would add to the why, because this is very atypical to have this many purchases, is we're coming up on fiscal year end. And so there are a number of annual contracts that have to be looked at all at once. So this is typical for our June meeting. Before I jump in, and we'll take these a section at a time, I trust that all of our fellow regents have had a chance to review them. And so rather than read them and verbatim as we do historically on lesser days, we'll pause and ask for questions as we approve them in groupings. But before I do that, Regent Beavers, I believe, had a comment he wanted to make.
Just a quick comment, Chairman Mitchell and President Goodson. In light of the cyber attack, the ransomware attack on the city of Tulsa, I asked for the okay to visit with Matt Sharp and some of his people about what TCC, the college, was doing to. You can't prevent all of them, but I wanted to know that we were well ahead of the game on that. And fortunately, at this time, they were also in the process of reviewing their insurance renewals, including for cyber liability and first dollar coverages. I just want to give a shout out to Matt and his team, Sean, Michael, and McKinsey, for the efforts that they're making. I was very pleased with the report that they got back to me about their efforts. It's a ever-changing, literally by the minute, by the day situation out there with hackers, and you can't prevent every one of them, but we are taking, I believe, the right steps to make sure that doesn't happen. Or if it does, it's the loss is mitigated. And I just want to publicly thank Matt and that team for their efforts. I think it's well deserved. So
Thank you, and thank you for lending your insurance expertise to that.
And I will say here on the IT part, and I'm glad you were pleasantly surprised.
yes,
They do a great job.
yes, absolutely.
So what we'll do is take these a section at a time and pause for questions before approval. Know that, as with many actions from committee, these all come on recommendation from committee for approval, and therefore no motion or second will be needed. I defer to the chair on whether you want to vote each section or if you want to stay to the end. But I'll start with the first section, which is academic affairs. There are a number of purchases under the academic affairs 8.1, 9.1 section. Any questions on any of those?
That comes with recommendation from committee.
Yes, sir.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you. So next item is administration. There are a number of recommendations for approval there as well. And we'll pause to determine if there are any questions on any of those items.
Regent Cornell, I'm just curious. There is a temporary labor contract, 8.1.2-1. And it says to provide temporary labor services for all campuses. I'm just curious, is that just a budget in case you need to draw on temporary labor, or are those already designated positions that are being funded through this?
That's a partnership we have with a company in town called Center for Employment Opportunities. And so we partner with them, and then they provide temporary labor as needed as a second chance for the constituents that they serve. And so this is a contract with the Center of Employment Opportunities for this amount. We will not go over this amount, but Michael and his team use them a lot for landscaping, facilities, lawn care, things of that nature.
Yeah, that was my other question about who it is. So that's outstanding. Yeah, thank you. I'm glad we're doing that.
Community is our middle name.
The second chance piece is meaningful. So any other questions?
Oh, I might make the statement, and I think you made it earlier, that as we look through these from our committee work, many of these are renewals of sustaining agreements. Would that be
Yes, that's
accurate, Mark?
correct. Yes.
Thank you.
The next section is external affairs. We have a number of approvals there for advertising campaigns and so forth that fit under that umbrella. Any questions on any of those? That too comes on recommendation from committee.
I'm going to take your advice and do all three at the,
All of
At
them
the
at the end. Okay, perfect. So next section is finance, a number of renewals for professional services. It looks like primarily under the finance section. Any questions on any of those? Hearing none. The next section is general counsel and one recommendation on a legal services contract. Any questions there? The amount is unchanged from the previous year, so that somebody's doing their job. Next section is the president's office with one recommended purchase there with Swim Digital. Any questions there? Okay, student success and equity. This looks like software and professional services primarily. Any questions on that section? Hearing none, Mr. Chairman, all those recommendations come on approval by committee, and I would submit them for approval by the board.
thank you. All in favor of items 8.1.2 through 8.2? Say aye.
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 Any discussion? All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you very much, Regent Cornell.
Thank you. So the next item, I'm just going to make a couple of comments and then I'll turn it to Mark to give a high-level overview. We have before us in section 8.2 or attachment 8.2, the budget for fiscal year end 22 submitted for approval. It too has come on approval by committee. A couple of comments I'll make. You see a significantly higher budget driven by largely the what I'll call one time, even though it's come in three phases, monies for higher ed, the HERF monies and CARES Act monies that we have a duty to be judicious and properly manage as a board that are impacting pretty significantly next year's budget. But being that it has that quote one-time component attached to it, we shouldn't expect this to be a projection of what's to come in future fiscal years based on everything we know today. I would note, however, and I think the board is aware, that the finance committee was asked by our chairman to have some meetings with our leadership team on how those decisions are being made. And we've gotten good legal advice from McKinsey Wilfong on the ever-changing rules from the Department of Ed on how to manage these monies. But I applaud our leadership on how well we're diving into the details and managing that, and would encourage anyone with interest to learn more to reach out to Mark or McKinsey or Dr. Goodson. So with that, I'll turn it to you, Mark, to give an overview of the budget that we bring recommending approval for today.
Thank you, Regent Cornell. In your packet is both a high-level summary in a format that is like the monthly financials we present, and also the official forms that we have to present to the state. So it's presented in a couple different ways. But to Regent Cornell's point, the budget is substantially higher due to almost $50 million of HERF funds that we intend to expend over the next 12 months or so. And so if we look at just the operating budget outside of those HERF dollars that we're receiving from the federal government, our budget is not changing that much from previous years. And so we are anticipating a little bit lower revenues related to tuition and fees due to our conservative enrollment expectations. However, we did have a record year from a local appropriation standpoint in the amount of receipts that we received from Tulsa County. So we have gotten word from our the assessor that they plan on having close to flat receipts for the next fiscal year, which will definitely benefit Tulsa Community College. And so we will see an increase in the amount of receipts that we plan on using through local appropriations. And we actually got a little bit more than anticipated from our state appropriations. So we got a 3.6% increase in state appropriations outside of concurrent enrollment or any of those reimbursements. And so we had a couple wins on our revenue side, which helped sustain the budget. When we look at the expenses, this last fiscal year 21, was a different year. So we had a lot of online environment and just didn't know what that expense environment would look like. Now going back to campus, we anticipate those operating expenses, specifically in instruction and academic support and student service support, to go back to previous levels. And so we have budgeted them that way. Obviously, if things do not play out in the first 6 months, we will adjust that budget and forecast in December. But we are planning for those expenses to be more in line with fiscal year 19 expenditures than the last couple years that we've experienced through this kind of online or hybrid environment. So those are a lot of the factors that we have used in determining the budget. I will say for the Regents, we are not increasing tuition or fees for the second year in a row on students. And so tuition and fees will remain flat. And we did that intentionally. So as much as we can, we are going to leave tuition and fees alone for as long as we can. And so that's built into this budget. At this time, I will open it up to questions from any of the Regents related to assumptions we've made or any other questions you may have regarding next year's budget.
What is the enrollment assumption that you used?
The enrollment, we are actually anticipating down about 9%.
9?
Mhm.
And then what was it?
That's the assumption.
Right.
That's the budget assumption. That's
What
not,
did it end up being, 20 to 21?
fiscal year 21, we were down for the fall semester. We were down just over 5%, between 5 and 6, and then the spring semester just over 8%.
Hmm.
So we use a very conservative approach when building our budget from a financial standpoint. I would much rather come back to the Regents and say we are by far exceeding our budgeted expectations than have to come back in 6 months and say, wow, we didn't come close. So I was very conservative talking with Eileen and her team. We expect to exceed those expectations.
Yeah. Just
But
a
if I re-
bummer to have enrollment go down.
But if I remember correctly, we beat our estimate for enrollment in fall and spring last year. We
Previous.
thought we were going to do,
That's correct. We did exceed budgeted expectations.
well, which is good news when the nation is tanking in enrollment. So another, not that I'm competitive or anything. Any other questions for Mark? That comes on motion from the Finance Committee. No second needed. All in favor? Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you, Mark, and thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, the next item is the May 2021 financial statements. As is custom, Mark will take us through the dashboard, and those financials do come recommended for approval by committee.
Again, thank you, Regent Cornell. Somewhere in the back of your packet, the dashboard is included in there, so it might take a minute to find it, but we will start with the revenue dashboard. And as you can see, when we're looking at our year-to-date numbers through May 31st, we had expected revenues to be right about 134 million, and they came in at 129 million. Now, that's not to say that we are hurting from a revenue standpoint. The biggest variance, we had two major variances related to our revenues, and it was our local appropriations and our capital projects. And so when we're talking about revenue for those two areas, we draw down as needed. And so because expenditures were much lower than anticipated, our operating expenditures were much lower than anticipated this year due to the environment that we were in, we have not had to draw down those local appropriations as we originally had thought we would. And so we have drawn much less local appropriations down into our operating budget than we thought we would, as well as we had left a larger capital budget to accomplish some of the projects we wanted to, deferred maintenance projects at the end of this year. However, due to the continued HERF funding, we have stopped those projects or delayed those projects so that we can get a more holistic view of how we want to spend those HERF funds and how we want to accomplish some of those deferred maintenance capital projects. So we'll have a much more holistic view, including HERF funding to take care of some of those areas. And so the capital, we have not drawn down those local appropriations for capital projects either. And so that's why we see that major variance in revenue. Other than that, our state appropriations, our tuition and fees are pretty much on par where we thought they would be. So from a revenue standpoint, we're actually very healthy, although we see a variance in our expectations. Any questions related to revenues?
Mark, those appropriations, that's not a use it or lose it type deal either.
Correct. The
Okay.
state of the state appropriations, yes, we have to make sure we use all
Right.
our state appropriations within the fiscal year we receive them. However, our local appropriations that are held separate, so they're held harmless. So we actually use that account as our reserve as well.
Maybe this is the appropriate time to publicly compliment Regent Cornell, your work and Mark's and his staff on the HERF funding. We've had, as you know, a number of strategic meetings around that, trying to strike the right balance for deployment of those funds around future needs and facilities and safety and security for the campus, and also deferred maintenance. And so hopefully those bear fruit. But Mark, you guys, we appreciate all of that work, a lot of analysis behind it.
Thank you. Any other questions on financials?
That comes on recommendation of the committee. I don't need a motion, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Got to say any discussion? Motion carried. Thank you.
I will point out that we do have a new schedule on the financial dashboard for the board to see, and that's just going to be tracking how we're spending those HERF funds so that the board will clearly see and be transparent with exactly where those funds have been spent, where we're at in those projects. The slide will look much like the dashboard that Michael presents for his facilities dashboard. So that will be a continued update as we go through and spend those funds.
And I would also like to thank you all for the collaboration of the board, your committee and legal, and doing the right thing with the money for the right reasons. So thank you all.
Thank you. Will that slide have colors?
But yeah, it's got green right now, but yeah.
I'm colorblind in green. So.
Whatever color, Regent,
others
as long as you're
have
on my
prime-
committee next year, whatever colors you want, sir.
Yeah, the others have primary colors.
Thank you, Mark. And thank you for the work and the conservative budgeting that has kept us out of trouble when others get into trouble. So I appreciate that also. And the finance committee for keeping an eye on it. Next thing on the agenda is executive committee report, possible discussion and action. It's a recommendation for approval of the president's employment contract. The executive committee recommends the approval of the college president's employment contract upon completion of the board's annual review of the president's performance. That comes on motion from the executive committee. No second needed. Any discussion?
I think the one thing that all of us who have commented on is President Goodson's performance in a very, very difficult year. And we do appreciate it. And certainly our students do. But a difficult job for you and for the faculty and the administration. But it all starts with leadership. And I think it's really great leadership. Congratulations.
And I have one addition to that. In my version of the review, I went out of my way, and others probably did too. The College Park piece was a very heavy lift and would have been a heavy lift in normal times. And so to be able to manage and get that launched while managing through what Regent McCamey just referenced is a big deal.
Okay.
I appreciate
Pile-
those.
should I pile on?
comments.
Yes.
No, no.
Yes, we're all going to pile on.
Well, all you have to do. We won 2 outstanding awards this year, which is a testament to not just this year, but the buildup to this year,
National awards.
and helped sustain, I think, the team through this year. So I think it was outstanding. And if you look at the key performance indicators, we're making positive trends in almost every area. So it's great leadership. Not just Lee's great, but it's a team effort, and we've got a great team here. So thank you all.
Regent Beavers?
Well, I'm just finishing my first year, and so I'm the rookie compared to Ron and the rest of you, but I commend President Goodson on the leadership that she has selected. I'm so constantly amazed at the quality of the individuals out here in the audience, and I just, we can't do anything but good things with this crew. It's a great group of people. Thank you.
Regent Combs?
Well, likewise, I think those 2 awards kind of underscore the long winding road to get to a point where things are looking up, and the staff, it's a team effort. I know Dr. Goodson, but we appreciate you, and it makes our job easier when all of you guys do as well as you do. So thank you all. Thank you.
And our senior statesman, Regent Loney.
You, Regent Looney.
Any comments on the performance of?
I think it's a continuation of what we've had in the past, and we're to be proud of what Dr. Goodson's done.
Thank you.
I would submit you have unanimity in the approval. But
Yes. So, and I will just say that during times of turmoil, great leaders, and I consider everyone at the college a leader with Dr. Goodson, great leaders not only survive, they just achieve at a greater height, where poor leaders just sit back and use the crisis of the turmoil as an excuse not to succeed. So truly great leadership shown here. All in favor?
Aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion carried.
I really appreciate the support. We have an incredible team here at TCC, and make no mistake that Regent Mitchell is competitive. So that's what I have to say every comment he makes. But it's been a really difficult year. As I talk to my colleagues across the country, it's for most, it's been the most difficult year of their career, even seasoned presidents that have been in it much longer than I have. And so just keeping the team together, and I really appreciate all of the staff across the college sticking together on all of our efforts. We're coming back to campus, and some are more eager about that than others, but we're excited to redesign the college post-COVID and be here for our students and our community to be the economic engine that we are. So thank you for the support.
You're welcome. Any new business, Cindy?
No, sir.
Persons who desire to come before the board?
There are none, sir.
President's report and possible discussion, Dr. Goodson.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We've got Nicole Bergen, who's also going to join us up here. And she's going to cover probably about half the items we're covering today, and then I'll cover the second half. So go ahead, Nicole. Thanks.
Hello. The first on the portion here is the TCC's Health Sciences Smart Start Orientation was nominated by the college for a 2020-2021 Innovation of the Year Award, and it was recognized by the League for Innovation in Community College. 9 employees were involved in this initiative, and we have invited them here to be recognized. So I'm going to name them starting from down there. Adrian Moorcraft, Education Specialist, Health Sciences. Greg Anderson, Director, Academic Advising. Debbie Batson, Retired Dean, Allied Health. Chelsea Sykes, Career Development Specialist. Molly Farley, Associate Dean, Academic Advising. And Melanie Heffington, Assistant Professor and Program Coordinator for Health Sciences.
Great job, great job.
So there is one more team member that we would also like to recognize, and that is Greg Hope, former Director, Academic Advising. He is being recognized posthumously. So thank you very much.
That's a really important program. We have so many students that come in wanting to be in one of our allied health programs. Those are, for the most part, competitive entry, and just making sure they're getting the right advising from the very beginning is critical to those students not wasting any credits as they're here at Tulsa Community College. I did forget to mention, I want to acknowledge that we have some online attendees here at the board meeting today through Zoom, and there are special guests in person. We still have this business to conduct with the president's highlights. And so we'll go through this and then we'll start the second part of our program.
And I apologize, I was going out of order and introducing them in line. Marilyn Goff, Coordinator, Academic Advising, was also part of that team, but not able to be present. She is on vacation. So now I'm going to ask the library employees that are here today to join me at the edge of the stage for this next item, and I believe we have quite a few.
Is this the winning team?
It is the winning
This is the
team.
winning team,
Alright.
Regent Combs.
So these
Regent
were-
Combs has been waiting for you all to come to one of our board meetings. I just want you to know.
And I am not going to introduce them. I am so sorry. This is a lot of names. And this is a small portion of them. So the TCC Library was recently recognized as the winner of the 2021 Excellence in Academic Libraries by the Association of College and Research Libraries during a virtual ceremony. A number of those employees you see here in front of the stage are here from across the college, multiple campuses, and we certainly want to recognize them for their dedicated work. So I'm going to ask President Goodson and Regent Mitchell to come forward. Paula Satoon has a special presentation, the award, and a $3,000 check that comes with the award. And Kendra's going to snap a photo. Right. Kendra, can you snap another photo? Thank you.
Needs to go on the billboard.
So congratulations, well deserved. Thank you for being here.
Congratulations.
Before they leave, I have but one question. I happen to be privy to see the video of your return to normal. I want to see a show of hands. How many of you were dressed up in that? Okay, all right, good job.
And this is not surprising. This team is truly a yes team. And I went to them with the problem, Dr. Sivadan and I, and no one else could solve it. And they just stepped up and said, yes, we'll do it. So they are a yes team, which is why they win awards like this. So thank you all.
Thank you. You guys can go back. Sit down. Thank you. And finally, President Goodson, along with Bethany Reed of E-Advancement Consulting, presented recently at the AACC Digital Conference. Now, this session focused on how TCC was able to raise a little more than $1 million in a month. I'm sorry, $1 million a month during our highly successful $20 million campaign for completion, and how other institutions could do the same. That presentation is also the basis of an article that was in Community College Daily titled "Reaching $20 Million in 18 Months." And then the other thing is you have on your desk a copy of Community College Journal from April and May. And on the front is a TCC student at graduation, an article inside that has previously been mentioned about equity. So that concludes my comments.
Thank you very much.
I'll just add a couple of things. We're excited to celebrate the 2 awards we received from the American Association of Community Colleges. I want to thank, I was at the Metro celebration. I want to thank Regents Mitchell and McCamey for being there. That was really fun. And to have, we still aren't finished with our work. Those successes specifically in the area of student success is based on rapid improvement. And so we always have a lot of work to do, and we're so proud of the work that we've already achieved. So I really appreciate the recognition we got from AACC for the entire college. I also want to mention at the bottom of the first page, the digital project that our students conducted regarding the Greenwood district and to commemorate the Tulsa Race Massacre, Mapping Greenwood. And so that was very interesting. And we were on CBS News on Sunday morning, one morning. And so someone, a relative of mine texted me and said, "Oh my gosh, you're on the news." And so that was really exciting. And of course, we're excited about College Park, which was previously mentioned. That's also very exciting. And then, which was also previously mentioned by Regent Combs, the EDGE program. And Regent Beavers joined us at the Broken Arrow EDGE graduation. And you'll see at the bottom of that second to the last page that he got his picture taken with the graduates. That was really fun. And so there was a lot of enthusiasm that day also. I am going to start honoring Regent Looney at this time. And we are so fortunate today to celebrate over 3 decades of service to the college. And Regent Looney, we are just honored to have had you. Is it 36? Is it 36?
35.
35.
Give or take a year.
Give or take a year. All right. How many governors appointed you?
9 different governors.
Wow.
Really?
Wow.
I served partial terms early on.
Okay. 9 different governors. Wow. That is
Amazing.
that's politically amazing.
Possible.
That is politically amazing. Okay. But
That record may never be broken.
We'll
I
never,
know, I don't
Will
think it
never be
will ever
broken.
be broken.
Hope
I want to acknowledge that Sue Looney is here, Regent Looney's wife, who's just also a great friend and friend to the college as well. There are other family members here today. So I want to welcome all of the friends and colleagues that are in attendance here today. Regent Looney, as he said, has been with us for 36 years. This says 36, so I'm counting on the team has the number. So I guess it was give a year, right? You have had the historical perspective of the college all along the way. I remember right after I was hired, he said, "You know, I have chaired, except for Al Phillips, I have chaired every search committee." And so I know that President Emeritus Tom McKeon's in the audience, so he and I both appreciate that. And we think you've done a great job of chairing those search committees. So you've been just an integral part of everything that has advanced through TCC from just the beginning and getting to 4 campuses in 4 different parts of town, serving our constituents all over the community and with programs and facilities. You have been just a priceless member of our Facilities and Safety Committee, and we are excited that the person succeeding your position is Mitch Adwan, who has a lot of the similar experience, and so that will continue to be at the table. Your practical guidance and wise advice has just been such an important part of our college. So there is a video that I am supposed to introduce at this time. So I think we're ready to do that now. And I don't know that I need to say anything else before it starts. Is it starting up here? It is. It's starting right here. Okay, so we're just going to wait.
Ronald S. Looney was appointed to serve on the Tulsa Community College Board of Regents in 1985. Since then, he served as the TCC board chair for 4 terms. Regent Looney also began serving on the Signature Symphony at TCC Advisory Board in 2007 and has been a board member for 14 years.
I remember when you became a Regents, I'm sure you do too. And you have been terrific, a terrific person. And Susie, your wife, has been terrific too. Both of you in different things, but you as a Regent, you've always been caring. You've been very thoughtful. You're supportive of people's ideas, but you're careful to make sure they sort them through. And God bless you.
When I think of Ron Looney, several words pop into my mind, and generosity is one. Ron has been incredibly generous with his expertise and talent, as well as with his time over all these years in terms of his service to our college as a regent. He's an incredibly gracious and welcoming individual. When you walk up to Ron, he always greets you with a smile. And Ron and Sue have opened their home on numerous occasions for TCC events. And again, just a very warm, giving, and gracious individual. Dedication and commitment are two words that I think describe Ron Looney very well. As a regent, he's taken his role extremely seriously. He's always prepared for the meetings and provided thoughtful input, thoughtful analysis, and advice. He was, for me personally, a tremendous resource during my 10 years as president of Tulsa Community College. And then just leadership. I think Ron really embodies what it means to be a servant leader with his service to not only the community, but again, to the students and faculty at Tulsa Community College. I think when you think of Ron Looney, you can't help but think of facilities and construction at Tulsa Community College. It was just always a pleasure to work with Ron on some of these projects. And some of them were pretty interesting. The fire training center on the Northeast campus, fitness centers on all three of our campuses, the private pilot and air traffic control program at Riverside Airport are just a few of the highlights. Thank you for all that you've done for Tulsa Community College, and particularly thanking you on behalf of our students. And most of our students, come to classes and they don't really understand the role of a regent or maybe even who the regents are. But you quietly were there working to ensure that they had the best facilities and the resources and the best programs in place to meet their individual needs. And I thank you on behalf of the faculty and staff for your service. And in closing, I want to just also express my thanks for Sue. Ron and Sue are a partnership, and if you're around the two of them, you can see the love in their facial expressions and the way they interact. And Sue was right with Ron throughout his service as a regent, and she attended our events. She attended commencement and the numerous dinners and so forth. So Sue Looney, we thank you for your support and your service of our college as well.
I think the first word I would use to describe Ron Looney is proud. As I joined the Tulsa Community College family, he was always the first one to tell me about the history behind a specific project or something that happened at a specific campus. They were always so proud of how we have 4 campuses and they're strategically located across the community. And Regent Looney had a lot to do with that. His background is in commercial real estate and development. And so you can imagine that after 35 years, he has had a lot to say about how our facilities look, function, where they're located, and how we continue to maintain those. And so he was just really proud of what TCC had accomplished. I would also say he's very steady. You would never get an unexpected response from Ron Looney. He was always someone where you knew that he may have an opinion, or he might not, but he may have an opinion about something, and he would let you know what it is, and he would tell you why, and he would also take the time to listen to you and the reasoning behind a certain decision. And so I really appreciated how approachable and steady he was. He was just very caring and wanted to really know how you were as a person, and how your work was going, and how your personal life was going as well. And so I just appreciated his sincerity as he has been on the board, and just knowing that I could always get a great conversation out of him and an honest answer. I would also say Signature Symphony is something that Regent Looney has been a really strong supporter of, and always an advocate for the arts inside of Tulsa Community College and really throughout the community. And I appreciate how he advocates for it and helps us think creatively about how we continue to make Signature Symphony a success. Also, Vision Dinner is a night to celebrate. And more than once, we've had the opportunity to sit with Regent Looney and Susie Looney at that dinner. And she's just such a special person. And they are just such a great couple to know together. And I just really appreciate Susie Looney and her support of the college and of Mark and I in this role at the college. He is really proud, and I'm really glad that he chaired the 3 presidential searches for which he was here as a regent for. So he chaired the search that hired President Van Treese, the one that hired President McKeon, and then also the one that hired me as president, which was very exciting for me in 2014. TCC has a reputation and has shown that leadership is here for a long time, which really helps the stability of the college over time.
Thank you for all of your years of service to Tulsa Community College, Tulsa Junior College, and to this community.
Ron, I wish you absolutely the best. And again, thanks. It's just not enough to say for all that you've done.
Thank you, Ron.
It brings back fond memories when I remember standing on this stage and dedicating this Performing Arts Center to Dean Van Treese. And this was his baby. It was completed in 1966. And then Tom McKeon, when we dedicated the Center for Creativity downtown on the Metro campus to him, following his service and retirement. And those are really great memories. And thank you all for your comments.
I have a few more comments that were sent in by some certainly honorable people here in the state of Oklahoma. I have some comments from former Oklahoma Governor George Nye, who swore in Ron Looney as a TCC regent. I regret that I cannot be there to help you celebrate a great part of Ron Looney's life. Hope it is a great success, as was his service. Please give Ron my personal regrets and greeting. He has been a tremendous contributor to my life also. Thanks, George Nye. And from Chancellor Glenn Johnson. Regent Ron Looney has been a tireless advocate for Oklahoma higher education for more than 3 decades. From his dedication to modernizing TCC facilities to his steadfast leadership in selecting 3 very capable and qualified presidents, he has made a lasting positive impact on the state system of higher education. Generations of Tulsa area residents have benefited from Regent Looney's service to TCC and his commitment to expanding opportunities to earn a college degree. We will finish, actually, Regent Mitchell, do you have some final comments? And then we'll finish the board meeting and go into the district meeting. And
Thank you. On behalf of all past and current regents, Regent Looney, we'd like to thank you for your service to Tulsa Community College. I personally would like to thank you because you welcomed me to the board with open arms and sage advice and showed a leadership example. With over 3 decades of board service, your experience, advice, and considerations have been invaluable as we have moved forward to advance the college. As current board chair, I understand firsthand the work and commitment it takes. And board chair is a position you have held 4 times during your term as a regent. It's just appropriate that we come here to celebrate your years of service at the same time we celebrate winning 2 national awards. National awards that your work paved the way for. You don't just get those one year. It's the groundwork before us. As we walk the campuses and look around, we will always remember you. You literally helped build what TCC is today. In fact, the building we're in right now, the PACE, is an example of one of the projects you helped construct under your tenure. Also, I'll just say Susan and Ron are definitely a package deal. Not only has Ron been a person to look up to for his leadership, to model after, but personally as a husband to look up and model after. So I thank you for that. So thank you, Regent Looney. Your name will always be remembered at TCC. We truly appreciate what you've done for us during all of these years. Do we need to go into executive committee?
no, we have no executive session. I know.
She needs a white card or something. With that, I would entertain a motion for adjournment and celebration. I have a motion. Oh, we have a motion to adjourn.
I just wanted to make a comment. Each time I was chairman of the board, one of our presidents retired. And I gained a complex from that. But originally, when Al Phillips decided to retire, he called me and wanted to have lunch. We met over at the Financial Club. Some of you will remember that over on 41st Street, not far from the conference center. And I thought it'd just be a general discussion about the college. And he said, I want to let you know I'm getting ready to retire. I'm getting ready to announce that. And I said, oh, no, not on my watch, are you? And he said, I've got a request to make of you. And I'll try to do it. What is it? And he said, you're chairman. You'll be selecting a presidential search committee. I'd like for you to put yourself as chairman of that committee and then serve on it. And along with that, I picked Oscar Chappelle, which was one of the founding regents of TJC, and Dorothy Zumwalt, who was a conservative from Sapulpa, fine lady. And anyway, we had a great time and ended up nominating Dean Van Treese to be president after that, and it went on and on. And each time that I was president, each time I was chairman, the president resigned or retired. So I thought, well, I'm the kiss of death for. Anyway, it turned out good.
You must have been a tough chairman.
Had a reputation by that. Yeah, you want to make the motion to adjourn?
I move that we adjourn.
I have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye. For the last time, we adjourn.
order, I'll take it.
I'd like to call the meeting of the Tech Center to order.
This regular meeting of the Tulsa Community College Technology Center School District has been convened in accordance with the Oklahoma Open Meeting Act.
Thank you. Have an agenda.
Wesley Mitchell,
Here,
Karen Lawhorn, William McKinney.
Here.
James Beavers.
Here.
Samuel Combs. Paul Cornell. And Ronald Lenny. Mr. Chair, we have a quorum.
thank you. Old business and possible discussion, approval of the minutes for the regular meeting of Tulsa Community College Technology Center School District held on Thursday, October 15th, 2020. Have a motion, any discussion? Second? All in favor? Aye. Aye. Motion carried, thank you. Nominating committee election of officers and possible discussion and action. The committee will recommend the school district vice president, school district president, Karen Lawhorn, vice president, Regent McCamey, and clerk for the fiscal year, Regent Baker. This comes to a motion from the nominating committee. No second needed. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Finance and Risk Audit Committee report and possible discussion and action with Regent Cornell.
Briefly, as a reminder, the district financials house the ad valorem taxes, so they're pretty straightforward. And I'll turn to CFO Mark McMullen for a quick report on that. And the committee recommends approval of these financials.
As Regent Cornell said, the district financials are receipts for the ad valorem and then the drawing down when we need to transfer those into the college. So quick overview, up receipts for this year related to our local ad valorem dollars. So that's been a very good thing. We expect flat for next year as well. If there are any particular questions on the financial statements, I'll entertain those now. Hearing none.
This comes recommended from the committee. Any discussion? All in favor? All opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Monthly financial report.
That's what we just approved.
So here's my favorite part. Adjourn. Have a motion to adjourn. Second. Second. Any discussion? Motion carried. Thank you. Meeting adjourned.
Good. Instructions here. If you all can just wait a few minutes, you don't have to stay seated. We'll start. We will reset the stage for the reception.